Welcome to On the Roadcast Audio Talk, Nolan Osmond, or Nazi. You said it's your
Mm,
nickname among touring people, so I guess I can call you Nazi because I'm touring people.
that's perfect.
Okay, cool. Wait, where are you right now?
We are in Dallas, Texas, at a Bucky's, which is a legendary tour stop.
100%. I have this Bucky's neck pillow that I take everywhere, and no matter where in the world I am, people point it out and are like, Bucky's,
Yeah, yeah.
beef
Our,
jerky.
yeah. I'm out with Shadow Intent right now, and our vocalist gives Bucky's a shout out every day from the stage, even though we haven't been here once until today. So we're faithful.
I mean, at this point, Bucky's endorse them.
Yeah, I know.
If you're listening, Bucky's, and
I'm
me too.
I'm pretty sure they've caught on to this the touring business that
Nice.
they get.
So, are on a longer US run right now?
Hmm. Yeah, we're doing a U.S. headliner right now, and it's I think the first one. I think it's the first one in a couple years, so it's
Is that
nice to
your
be headlining.
is that your main gig? Shadow of Intent.
I do mainly Shadow Intent and Currents. Those are my
Current's
two.
also very busy lately. They're touring a lot,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we've been doing more.
We're both in that one Instagram group of sound engineers, and what has been a topic lately is that bands don't really hire you ahead of time anymore. That it's all very like last minute. How is that for you at the moment? Do you feel the same?
Mm, this is somewhat true, although I feel like when you find the band that you kind of have like a regular band and then you have lots of other bands. I've run sound for a lot of bands that have been a little bit more last minute, and I get last minute requests, and usually all of those I have to turn down because there's a tour already happening. So I feel like if you don't have that schedule planned out ahead of time, yes, there are a lot of last minute requests, but those are kind of just a given.
So
Um,
you are also someone who'd rather stick with like one artist or two artists for a longer time than doing
it's a
different
little
things all the time.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to plan around, I find. And you just kind of you don't have to reorient yourself technically and like with your show files and stuff. So you just come back and it's the same. I mean,
Yeah, it's the same, but also you have the opportunity because you know the people and you know the show. You can be really nerdy and get really creative with your setup, which if
mhm,
you only have one tour with one band and you don't really know what's coming, you just try to make it work, but
yeah.
you don't have the time and the knowledge of the whole show to like dig so deep. And I think that's the really cool thing about being with one band for so long.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you can develop your mix over years, and it has taken me years to even get a good mix. I think for some of these bands.
Do you do anything special for Shadow of Intent or Currents that you have kind of developed throughout the years?
Like mix wise,
Yes.
I would say. I do a few things that are kind of special for me. Like I don't see a whole lot of other people doing them, and I do them through, with most of my bands. But I just do a lot of vocal reverb swells, I guess, like reverse reverb swells. Like I'll just feed the vocals into the chamber the whole time or the hall, and then um, when it comes to like a part where it's gonna be more, and this works great in metal. I don't know about other genres, but like when it's gonna be a little bit more intense, leading to a breakdown or something, I'll just use it as a white noise and just push up, and then fling it down at the very last moment. So I mix kind of violently, and like I think when people watch me, they think I'm doing something more than I am, which is just muting the white noise.
And setup wise, would you say there's anything that you have figured out with your bands that it's maybe uncommon or special?
Yeah, there's a few engineers out there like this, but I actually don't carry a stage box at all. I use because if it's a self-contained band, we'll have like an M32 or C or something like a monitor rack, and I just decided I'm tired of carrying a stage box. I'm tired of carrying tails, so which are the breakout from microphone splits for anyone who's not familiar with that. But I just come straight out of I put a Dante card in the mixer and I come straight out into my board. So I don't actually have preamp control, which means I have to. That's another reason it's nice to stick with one band because I have to be inside of their system as well as my own. So it just takes a little
Yeah.
bit more network willingness to get inside a different network and to integrate.
In one way, it is nice to see how many bands nowadays are self-contained with their in-ear monitoring and stuff, because it just helps so much with like stage noise and whatever. But you also have to be able to work with them and to let them get inside of their system and maybe
Hmm.
do some things and tweak. I just had that. I just had sound check, and the vocalist from the band that I'm on tour with is running his vocals through a quad cortex, and he has a vocal tuner on it, and he's always done it. And of course, it's hard for him to say, no, I don't want that, or I'll take it off for you, because he just doesn't trust as much yet. But
Yeah.
now that we've had a few shows together, he's like, okay, let's not use it. Yet let's bypass it. I'll trust you to do that.
Mm.
So it takes a while to get, to get warmed up with artists. But once you do, you have so much more creative freedom in what you do with your mixing, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. Building trust is a huge part of it. Even I think, have you heard of demoitis, where you
Yeah.
listen to the demo so many times that just you that's the one thing you latch onto. And I think
Hmm.
the same is true of like going from a studio album and touring on it, and then maybe hearing like a board mix or hearing cell phone audio, and it doesn't sound exactly the same. In that you kind of need to be trusted to produce the band in a way in your own style. And you can try and mimic the album, but sometimes it just doesn't work live. Some of those elements.
Exactly. And it's when you're a social person and you're able to build that trust, it kind of like it's a natural thing that kind of builds up with time. But that's why I keep saying on this podcast, and everyone who's here as a guest keeps saying, you just have to be a good sport. You have to be a cool person. You have to be trustworthy. And I feel like that is even as important as the technical skill these days, like, or
Absolutely.
has always been like that.
Ideally, you'll be in it for a long time, and so you build a reputation. Like everybody knows you by first name, and so yeah, I know you as Connie, but so
It's
but
also
we all have our own reputations.
It's also sometimes I feel like, because being online and being on social media is great. That's how I know you. We've never met in person. We're gonna meet in
Mm,
person at Slam Dunk,
we
but
will.
we haven't met in person yet. And in my head, I'm like, oh, Nolan is a really good sound engineer,
Oh,
just
that's
because
about to
like
change.
when I see it in real life. No, I
Uh,
don't think so. I'm gonna listen to your white noise reverb tricks. But it's funny how sometimes people will like give me a lot of like roses for what I do, even though they've never heard an actual show.
mm,
And and that is nice, but also I'm always like, whoa, slow down, because I really don't want people to praise me with without really knowing what I do live. So
oh yeah.
it's kind of it's a slippery slope to be like, I don't know, to build up some kind of reputation that you can't live up to. But maybe
Mm.
that's just my imposter syndrome.
No, no, and I think that's why you have to go by personality and character, mainly because I've recommended people who I've never heard their mix, and they've turned out to be great engineers, and I know that because I know that they work hard and they've put the time into it, but it like the mix itself, sometimes it depends on the source material, depends on what the band's giving you. I mean, Currents, when I started, was extremely hard to mix and not have feedback, and I ended up having to buy a new console just to have like the right gates and stuff. So um, that sometimes it's more challenging, and you can't really judge based on one band's mix. So
True.
if yeah,
There's this saying that one of my teachers in audio school always said, it's shit in, shit out. And
yeah,
you could be the best engineer in the world, but if the source signals you get are really bad, you're not a magician. You can't make an insanely good mix out of it. So I feel like you start working in this industry and you're gonna start working with like shitty bands, and you learn, but once you get to work with better bands, it's not only that you get better, but your source signals get better. And I don't know if
yeah,
when you mix Gojira, you know that what you're getting is really good.
yeah, they
Even though
have great
Johan is a great
control.
engineer too. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and I guess on the inverse, you can take great source tones and make a bad mix, but you know that's doing too much.
right, true. Well, if there's any band in the world that you could choose to work with as a front of house engineer, who would it be?
I was hoping you weren't going to ask this question because it's a really hard one.
I know.
Hmm.
You can
There's
name
this.
two or three too if you
Okay,
want.
well, so there's this band, and I've spoken to their engineer a few times, and I hope he never sees this. But there's this band, Mandolin Orange. They're like a bluegrass band, and I've always wanted to mix bluegrass. Eh, I did a festival once, and I got to do it just around like a single microphone, and it's not a whole lot of mixing required, I guess, but just like getting clean source tones, no feedback, and having it just sound full and beautiful. That kind of challenge is what I would like to try.
One one single microphone?
Well, yeah, like that's like kind of a more traditional bluegrass setting, but like you could have a full kit and stuff like that. But I'd like to try mixing bluegrass, I think. Um,
Nice.
and I guess as for like a metal band, I don't know, Gojira would be pretty cool. Um, I don't. I like. I really like working for the bands I work for, and I work for a lot of my favorite bands, even from when I was young, and didn't expect to be doing this. Like, if you had told me in high school that I would be working with, you know, impending doom or like some of these bands I really looked up to, um, I wouldn't have. I'm kind of surprised we're still doing metal. like, I,
Like
like,
in general?
well, yeah, like it's even bigger now than it was then, and it's like people come to the shows, whereas when I was going to shows, I mean, it was like 15 people. So
Well, good for you,
sometimes,
good for us, because that means mixing bigger shows.
yeah, and yeah, that means that they can afford to have crew, and it's
Pay
nice.
us adequately.
Yeah, I'm glad it's being appreciated.
Yeah. And that's another thing, starting out to where you're at right now.
Mm.
You have to really push through those times of like being paid next to nothing and like sleeping on floors or whatever to get to level
Oh,
where you are. And I don't know how you feel about it, but in those early years, I thought this was really exciting and all. But there's a point where you're like, okay, I need to step it up a notch. So, what advice would you give a young engineer to get to the level where you are, and
mm.
how do they get to work with the bands that they want to work?
Yeah, that's a good question. Look for potential in others, um,
Great
and
answer.
yeah, know the potential in yourself, but look for the potential in others because you might start out with a band in a van but if they grow, they'll take you with them, and you'll grow with them. So it's not about the current situation; it's about the the future. And I guess if no one can see the future, but if you work hard and you have faith and like believe in that, project, if, to borrow that language, but then and you enjoy what you're doing, then I think the money will come. That's just my experience because I also started out doing it for free, and then I graduated to, I think it was like $200 a week. Um,
Week?
yeah,
Damn.
and that was like van touring, and so I and then I went straight to bus touring in arenas, and then I went back to clubs because I just prefer this. Um, so that, but even on like even on a high side, you're getting paid more, but you might not enjoy it as much. So you have to find that balance. That's my answer.
And the right people.
I don't know if I answered your question though. Hopefully.
No, I think you did. I think you did. And I think it was a very good answer. Yeah, see potential in others is, yeah. And then just push through those exhausting times and it will pay off definitely.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart touring. I mean, you get sick a lot and get injured.
Yeah. So you were saying you started out touring with small bands. Did you do any kind of audio engineering school or courses or?
Yeah, so I started studying with Mark Rubel, who went on to found Blackbird Studios in Nashville. I think that was with John Underwood. Forgive me if I'm botching that. But then I went to school for 4 years for audio and accounting, and had a great set of professors over there. Just wanted to do studio work, and then I just one day I got a call from my friend, and he said, "Hey, we need an engineer. Can you come out and do that?" And then I was working. I was working a desk job at the time, and it was just me and my boss and our accountant. And I said, "Hey, I got this tour offer. Like it's just a weekender kind of thing, and I would need to take some days off from work." But that's like a dumb idea, right? I shouldn't do that. And he goes, "No, go try it. See if you like it." And
And you never
even
came back?
well, yeah, yeah, I did, but then I had some change of career and ended up going right back. And as soon as I got in the van, I remember being so jarred by this, but as soon as I got in the van, they said, "Hey, are you available for this next tour and the one after that?" And I turned them down. I was like, "No, I have a job," and still my boss was really supportive. So I have him to thank. I have a lot of people who helped me to get there. You know,
Yeah, right. That's another thing. Like these first years, maybe you need a lot of support from, well, home, I guess, whatever, or however that looks like.
yeah.
Do you do you sometimes get road sick or like homesick? Like what you want to be on the road when you're home and you want to be home when you're on the road?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. I think it's because the schedule is so much different than anyone else. I mean, you're basically working. I mean, 16 hours a day, even if you have free time because you're always on call, so you can't really have scheduled time to talk on the phone, or you're always going to be. And this is something that I think everyone is working on to create like those times of sanctuary, but it's hard to make phone calls. It's hard to reach out at a reasonable time. And then when you get done with the show and you're all excited and like emotions are high, everybody's gone. Everybody's gone to sleep. So I think that's
Right.
where it gets to be really mentally challenging, um, because you have a lot of highs and lows in the day, and just regulating yourself and finding outlets, and you know it helps to like be able to talk to the people that you're touring with and hang out after the show. So I've always found that after show hangouts are what helped me, I guess. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I guess same. I have like a lot of, I would say, little rituals. I'm a very structured person, and even though we say we don't have a 9 to 5 and our job is like, whoa, crazy and every day is different, I have my own little list every day that I do, especially when I'm TMing too. I'm like, you get to the venue, you scout the venue, you talk to the venue rep. And in my head, I'm like, my list is like, ask if they have a printer, send them the guest list, go set up your desk, go set up on stage. I find a lot of comfort in being structured throughout the day. And I always try to do nice coffee like once a day if possible.
Mm,
I feel like that's my little treat to myself on tour. I find a nice coffee shop.
cool.
I love coffee recommendations. If anyone has any for no matter where in the world, I'll take them. And yeah, so I feel like structure is something that really helps me.
Yeah,
Whereas other
that's
people don't need that. I do.
yeah, nice.
So what is up in the next couple of weeks for you? Are you going to do summer touring in Europe or in the US?
So we just have well, I personally just have the one festival. We're doing Slam Dunk with Currents at the end of this month in May, and um, then we go. I think end of June we're going to Japan and then Australia.
Oh, my favorite. I
Yeah,
love touring in Japan.
I've never been to Japan before, so this will be the first time for me.
Exciting. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
heard good
I'll
things.
send you so many recommendations and stuff of things to do. Just like little things. They have those coffee
I
machine
also
or
like coffee, so
the coffee vending machines in the streets are like such a game changer. I wish we had them in Europe and everywhere else. You can get
that
hot
sounds
coffee
great.
cans from a vending machine, and they're in every corner. It's so cool. And yeah, I
Wow,
mean, 7-Eleven, egg salad sandwiches. I'm sure you've heard
amazing.
that before.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to look
Awesome.
out for that. Yeah, um, just being able to travel the world is one of the perks, and see some sights, and uh, yeah, Australia's really cool. I've been there once, and
100%.
it yeah, it reminds me of Texas a little bit.
Is that where you're from?
I'm from Missouri or Illinois originally, but I moved to Missouri.
Nice. I just did Australia earlier this year. It was really warm. It was really sweaty
Hmm.
and big spiders.
Yeah, yeah, there's some big spiders.
I'm sorry if I'm dropping out a little. My Wi-Fi's not so good. I don't know if I've said it on record yet, but I'm in everyone's favorite venue in Germany, Backstage Munich. I'm sure you've had a bunch of shows here before.
Yeah, we like backstage. Got a good
Everyone likes
crew
it.
too.
It's
Yeah,
shout out Backstage. Yeah, catering's always nice. Somehow the Wi-Fi is not really good where I'm sitting. I'm in the catering room right now, but you know, that's what we were saying before we started recording. It is always a little makeshift when you try to do these things on tour. You're in a Bucky's bathroom or shower right now. I'm in a catering room in Munich, so
yeah, no,
yeah, but we make it work.
yeah, it's kind of funny, especially if you're tour managing. I think because that's the only real position I believe besides merch that has direct connection to management positions, like in an office. So you're still having to like sometimes have meetings and pretend like you have an office, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and like right now, my computer is sitting on two like tubs of ketchup and mayo, so it's altered a little, and I have chips and bananas around me, and
You just got
it's very
a
makeshift.
podcast studio made out of rider items.
Yeah, exactly. Which it could be worse.
Yeah.
Um, so getting back to audio stuff, I feel like we could talk about touring forever, but audio specific episode.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
um, you already told me about some hacks that you do. What's your favorite mixing moment you ever had?
Oh. Hmm. I would say probably what comes to mind, and it wasn't technically a mixing moment, but I was up on stage doing doing a changeover, and I had a horrible time because a lot of the cables got wrapped up in each other, and one of the mic stands kept falling over. And this was an arena, so I think it was there was like 6,000 people, say, and the whole left wing was watching this event happen, which was embarrassing for me uh, because I didn't plan out the patch well enough where the things went, the cables went underneath that were supposed to stay. It's one of my first times, and eventually, like they would start like trying to warn me, like a lot, like hundreds of people would be like, "Oh, watch out!" And then I would catch the
No.
microphone stand, and they would cheer, and then I remember just thinking that was ridiculous. That was the worst thing that could have happened to me. And then this young girl, I think she must have been like 16 or something, came up with her dad during the intermission, and she said, I'm going to audio school, or I want to go to audio school, and like seeing you doing this helped me to understand what a career would look like. So so that was really neat. Just to like, I like seeing people coming up in like new engineers coming up in this.
Nice. Yeah, that's the best moment when you have those talks with like younger people or up and coming people. Or like even messages or whatever. It's like I 100% support it and I love it. And everyone has to start out somewhere. And I'm sure that you, me, and every other engineer out there had troubles starting out and had someone help them.
Yeah.
So I want to be that person for someone, and you want to be the person for someone. So yeah, I want to encourage everyone to reach out and ask the questions and whatnot.
Yeah, that's good. And every engineer has seen another engineer's first day, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I've had a lot of like horrific stories on the podcast from engineers, but we learn from these things, and every time something happens, the other day, I did something stupid. I don't know why, but I'm mixing an extra mix for like social media for the videographer on this tour every day. And it's post fader, but I never touched the fader. And somehow the fader was down. So I record the whole show and nothing's on my fucking
Oh no.
recording. So, but I did multi track as well. So I had to re record the show, like send it back into my console and re record it after the show. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm so annoyed this happened to me. And that was a big mistake. Every time something like that happens, I say, and that's the last time this will happen to me because you learn from it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Sometimes mistakes are a good thing,
yeah. There's so many years of experience that I count on to just troubleshoot things, and yeah.
right? Do you have an example of like one fuck up that you had happen that taught you a bunch?
Yeah, for sure. Like when I started doing digital splits, which are still, I feel like, relatively uncharted waters, especially with like Dante systems. There's a few engineers out
You know
there.
what frightens me so much about it is that that's your lifeline. If that's gone,
Yeah,
everything's gone, you know?
right. Yeah, and even just relying on a single cat cable. That's usually the weak point of the whole show. But clock settings and power differential, I've, are very important because, um, yeah, when I first started, I didn't have my clock settings right, and it took down the show once because we had a static discharge and it kind of zapped cat the port on the mixer, and then I lost clock sync, and we had to reset it. And so, just having a stable system uh, helps, like the prep on the prep side on the front end, just making sure your power is good and that all your clock settings are correct, and that you have a good infrastructure and a simple system in case you need to troubleshoot. You don't want it to be like all cluttered and keep it tidy.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely one of the few engineers that I know that totally rely on a digital system like that. But I do see it more and more. Like slowly it's coming. And, to have a clean stage and not have a million lines, that is
Yeah,
something that I in the future could see be like could I can see that being the future as long as it runs in a stable way.
yeah, we never have a mispatch, and there's it cuts out I think like 32 unplugging and unplugging connections a day, not to mention any support bands you might be mixing. So those are all potentials for mispatches, in my mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I can see the pros of this system 100%. So I will have a look at your system at Slam Dunk, I guess.
That sounds good. I'd love to show you around. Into anyone watching. If you see me at a festival or a show, like I would love to talk audio, and that's we. I'm kind of a talkative person sometimes, and we should all keep each other sharp.
100%. Hey, that's why I love this podcast so much because today I learned something new.
Yeah, same, and I'm a
That's
big fan.
Me too. I'm a big fan of you, and I'm so excited to see you soon. Well, that
Yeah,
was our 30 minutes. I'm sure
cool.
we have much more to talk in person. And yeah, everyone, if you see Nolan or me, come say hi and let's talk more audio stuff.
Okay, thanks, Tony.
Thank you.